it's Holly Marie King, and we are back with the Emblem Knights, and it's chapter 14, Preparing for Battles. This is rough draft, not final. Not the final draft. Just making it clear. Rough draft. But anyway, yeah, let's get started. Chapter 14, Preparing for Battle. We can't stay here much longer, Ray said as he sat at the table. The senior advisor will find us and kill us. Didn't Jack kill the senior advisor? Yuri asked. She too sat at the table. The men had to force her into the chair. No, he killed a copy, Alex said. He stood behind her chair, gripping the backrest. The real senior advisor never leaves his office, and he has quite a few tricks up his sleeve. Ray looked across the table at Daisuke. How fast will it take you to gather our weapons off the wall? Not long. I can have them all down by today, but to clean and repair them will take a day or two, Daisuke answered him. Roy, I want you to help him clean, polish, and repair them, Ray told his twin brother. Roy stood behind Daisuke. He nodded to show he understood. I wanted those weapons ready yesterday. We'll get right on it, Daisuke said, and Roy left the table. They knew that they were dismissed. I thought it said discussed. John, I need you to get some medicinal herbs ready so we can have it for small cuts or infections that aren't necessary for your magic, Ray said to John, who sat to Ray's left. Joey sat on the man's lap, not wanting to stand. I've already started them, Chief, John said, smiling at the boy. Joey and I gathered them when we did our training session together. Then make sure they're ready before the weapons are. The more men we have fixing our weapons, the better, Ray said, which was John's cue to leave the table with Joey. Murphy, I want you to get food ready to go, and other supplies we may need, Ray told Murphy, who leaned on the counter in the darkness. I'll help you with that. Now, as for Yuri and Alex, I want you to wash and sew clothes to be ready to leave. Can't I help with weapons? Yuri asked. She wasn't very good when it came to sewing. She wasn't very good when it came to sewing. I asked you to wash and sew clothes, and that's what you're going to do, Ray said authoritatively. He truly just wanted Yuri to take it easy. Wow, that was hard for a second. Alex pulled the chair back so Yuri could get up. Come on, we have lots of work to do. Yuri sighed and followed him out the door where a heap of clothes were already waiting to be cleaned, not to mention a wash tub was already set up. There even was a needle and thread just waiting to be used. How about you wash and I'll sew? Alex offered. Okay, Yuri said, trying hard not to show her relief. She pulled the sleeves of her dress back so that she wouldn't get them wet from the water. She took the first piece of clothing and stuck it in the water. Oh, she exclaimed. What's wrong? Alex said, concentrating on threading the needle. I'll make it complicated. The water's warm, Yuri said. Of course it's warm. You can't get clean without hot water or soap, Alex said, finally getting the string into the hole in the needle. Yuri began to wash the clothes under the water, with the soap in one hand and the piece of clothing in the other. Alex noticed this and stopped her. You don't put the soap in the water. Then how do you do it if you're such a genius? Yuri asked him, putting her hands on her hips. Alex grabbed Yuri's hand that had the soap in it. You take this hand over to this thing right here, he said, guiding her hand over to the wooden grate that stood out of the water. He then took Yuri's left hand to the water and helped her put the piece of clothing back into the water. He rubbed the soap on the clothes and rubbed them together. He guided her hands through rubbing the soap onto the piece of clothing and rubbing the cloth together so they were all soapy. And then you submerge the clothing into the water and get all the soap out. How do you know so much about washing and sewing clothes? Yuri asked when Alex had released her wrist. Well, when you're a knight and you're on the road a lot, you don't have a girl around to wash your clothing, and if you get a hole in your pants, you better know how to sew it up. Alex sat down. He had a pile of clothes already ready for him to sew. Besides, sewing came in handy whenever Ray had deep cuts on him. So knowing how to sew is a must. Yuri looked down into the water. So why aren't you very good at sewing or washing clothes? Yuri worked on getting the soap out of the pants she had in her hands. I just never really learned. While there were still young girls in her village, they didn't speak with them, really, she said, wringing out the water in the pants. Me and my sister would go seeking adventure, while the girls were all taught sewing and other things. A girl does for her husband. She shook the pants twice before hanging them on a rope that had been hung across the porch. There was a warm smile across her face. Yuki was quite the adventurer. She's the one that always stirred up trouble around the town. Where is she? Alex asked as Yuri bent down to pick up a shirt. She died when we were 8. Yuri found herself being repeated. How many more of these guys were she going to admit this to? The senior advisor came and took her away. Why? Alex asked as he was sewing with great concentration, but he still could talk while he worked. She had the ability of death like Jack, Yuri said, rinsing the shirt she had in her hands. So, you knew of the emblems when you were 8? Alex dropped his shirt into the dirty pile, finished with the article of clothing. He quickly rethreaded his needle and began to stitch a pair of pants that had become worn and ripped at the knees. He had to grab a patch for each knee. Not much, no, but I knew that she had the emblem on her tongue, Yuri answered, putting the shirt on the line. She had been sticking her tongue out at Rosie, and the girl had noticed the markings on Yuki's tongue. She had me look to make sure. She picked up another pair of pants, and sure enough, there it was. I promised her I wouldn't say anything, and that it would be between just me and her. Little did I know my grandfather could tell when we received our emblems on our bodies. He sent so many of us to our deaths. She blinked tears out of her eyes as she rinsed the pants. You know it wasn't your fault, right? Alex asked, with the needle in between his lips. He picked up a second pair of pants. I know that. I just hope my sister didn't blame me, Yuri said, putting the pants on the line. Don't worry, I bet she didn't, Alex said, biting his tongue as he said it. How would you know? Yuri asked as she worked. Well, Alex paused for a moment. Knowing you, I can only guess you and your sister were a lot alike. She probably figured that girl Rosie tattled, he said as he re-hemmed the pant legs. Yuri stood wringing out a shirt. You're probably right. She hung the shirt on the line. Rosie wasn't very nice anyway. Yeah? Alex asked, happy to change the subject. Yeah, one time she cut up all of Mrs. Dallin's flowers and blamed it on me and Yuki. Yuri chuckled. Yuki just turned right back to Mrs. Dallin and said, if me and Yuri destroyed your flowers, then why did Mr. Crumb say we did a good job cleaning his bar just a minute ago? The old woman turned red hot and paddled Rosie so hard on the butt that the girl couldn't sit for a week. Yuri laughed at this remark. Alex chuckled as he sat down, the last bit of his stitchery done. What? Yuri turned to see his pile empty. You're finished already? Why do you think Ray makes such a great leader? Alex asked, picking up a dirty shirt. He knows who's the fastest at what. Usually we take turns, but when we need to leave or go somewhere in a hurry, we have to just swallow our pride and do what we're told to do. Then why did he make me do laundry? Yuri asked, picking up some pants. You're still hurt, Yuri. You may only have a couple of days left to a full recovery, but right now the easiest thing for you to be doing is laundry. When the time comes and you're in good shape, you can show Ray what you can do best. But for now, you have to follow what he thinks is best for you, Alex said, putting a second grate at the other end of the wash tub. Now, let's hurry and get these clothes done. Yuri joined them, and soon clothes were all finished. But Yuri was the one doing the clothes. Who did I have join them? Interesting. Ray told everyone to go to bed, but Yuri and Alex had to wait for the clothes to dry, so they laid out on the grass in the training yard and watched the stars. Do you ever wish everything would have been different? Yuri asked. She'd been curious about this for all the guys. Her and Alex laid side by side. Well, I like to think of it as I had a head start in life, Alex said. Most guys my age are just starting to be made to train. How old are you? Yuri asked, looking over at Alex. I'm 18. He answered the question in an offhandish manner. I was 3 years old when they took me from my home. Don't you think you missed out? Yuri asked her, head rested on her hand, which was propped up on her elbow. Not really, Alex said, facing her. He too had his head rested on his hand, which was propped up by his elbow. I mean, I do feel left out when I hear about the games the other guys talk about from before we became what we became. But for the most part, I feel pretty good about my life. Yuri looked down, unsure whether or not she wanted to say, "Oh," she said, deciding against it. "You were an alcoholic. Or at least you were drinking. So, couldn't have been 100% happy." What about you?" Alex asked. Yuri laid back down onto her back. "I don't mind how my life has turned out, but still." She searched the sky. It reminded her of the endless reaches of Jack's eyes. "I wish my parents and grandfather hadn't betrayed their family, and even then I would go through their deaths all over again if I could just have my sister back. I'd even lose a limb just to see her face or hear her laugh." Alex said softly. "You miss her that much?" "I don't know how to describe it, but losing your twin is like losing a piece of you," Yuri said, finding it hard to keep her voice even. "You couldn't even begin to understand it. We'd been together since the day we were born." "No," Alex murmured, a memory bubbling to the surface. "I do understand." He got up off the ground and helped Yuri to her feet. "Let's go check on the clothes. I think they're dry now." I'm so excited to read the final draft. Even though I botched the first chapter, it's already up, so you'll see it. But yeah, anyway, if you're interested in the Emblem Knight book, I will put in the description below the website you can buy it, which is Amazon.com. It's on paper and Kindle. That word. But yeah, if you want the book, you're more than welcome to buy it. If not, you can just watch it here. Whatever you want. Woo! Choking on air. Don't mind me. But yeah. Next time we'll do chapter 15. Moving out. Yeah, anyway, hopefully I will see you guys next time. Bye!